While we're all here soaking in all of this great information, our BiblioShare platform is working away diligently without rest. I've been elected by BiblioShare to come here today and speak to you about what it does. My name's Tim Middleton, and I'm one of the on-call babysitters of BiblioShare. So let's get to it. The heart of BiblioShare is about ingesting Onyx metadata. Yes, we do give back quality reports to the providers of the data, and yes, we do let them see the history of files being sent, let them search their products in BiblioShare, merge their publishers' records with their suppliers' records, when and where it's possible. We can lock their data, exclude their data, and a few other things, but at the heart of BiblioShare is ingestion. In 2018, BiblioShare received, on average, each day, 3,014 new records. Also received 103,232 updated records, which is up slightly compared to 2017, where we saw on average 1,836 new records added each day and 101,000 updated each day. Because every day is different, not to mention every year, and because our recruitment efforts are ongoing, in fact, we've been putting quite a bit of effort into going after more international data in the past year, I wanted you to see what the year-to-date looked like in comparison to 2018. So in 2018, from January to March, we ingested an average of 1,334 new records and an average of 111,000 updated records. In 2019, from January to March, we have ingested an average of 1,611 new records, a 17% increase over 2018, and an average of 139,650 updated records, or a 20% increase over 2018. Looking deeper into the heart of BiblioShare, BiblioShare currently holds in storage 3 million Onyx 2.1 records. That means on average, if my math is right, but please don't check it, we're seeing 4.5% of records getting updated daily. The data set is currently growing at a rate of approximately 0.05% daily with new records. Of course, this is a forecast. It's only a forecast. We have no idea how many new accounts we'll get in 2019 or how big those accounts will be. And as many of you know, there's a new version of Onyx out there, which we're also ingesting. We have a whopping 268,232 records in 3.0 data, most of which are coming from Canadian-owned publishers. But BiblioShare is not so much one heart as it is many hearts beating together. The graphs I showed earlier represent only 2.1 Onyx data coming in, merely only one ventricle of the many hearts. BiblioShare also accepts all sorts of images, including over 2 million cover images, 170,000 interiors, and over 4,000 author images. We're also still trying to ramp up on samples. As Carol mentioned earlier, we are accepting PDF and EPUBs. We definitely have a ways to go here, but there are more and more cases emerging that require this data, and so if you have it, please send it. BiblioShare's heart of hearts is really very Canadian. We're driven to help the discovery of Canadian content. And looking into the heart of BiblioShare with our Canadian flag glasses on, we see publishers who have added CA when the author is Canadian to the contributor field. That's so helpful when we're asked about Canadian content. We can and have created files that are used to populate sites that are only looking for Canadian titles. And we can add things that are lovely Canadian, like our lovely Canadian flag and products that we create. We can see how in our Onyx 3.0 data set, there's an obvious slant toward Canadian publishers with 6.17% of the total showing Canadian contributors. I think most Canadian author titles are coming from Canadian-owned publishers, at least I assume that. But is it enough? Canada is a big place. Not every author identifies as Canadian, so we can look into other places to uncover Canada. Thema. Thema is an international classification system. I think Tom will speak more on, that's used mainly outside of North America, which uses the BISAC classification system. Thema is meant to help reduce the need to map multiple national and specialist schemes to one another when trading with international partners. Thema is not meant to replace BISAC right away, but eventually, perhaps. If you want to convert your BISACs to Thema, we have you covered. Our BISAC to Thema converter, which was fairly well used in 2018 by 180 unique users and 3,244 conversions. We took a look at the population of Thema and BiblioShare and found that the top 10 Thema codes were represented almost 23% of all records with Thema in the main subject field in Onyx. The ranking is backwards here. At the bottom is number 1, and it appears that the Christians are on a crusade to use Thema. Thema with Christian life and practices is coming in first, and then Christianity in second. When we checked in on additional subjects, the top Thema here represented 12.6% of all records with a Thema subject. This time Christianity is way back in 8th place, while children's teenage fiction, general fiction snuck ahead of political science and theory for first place. The book with most Thema subjects in BiblioShare is this French title by the publishing company Peter Lang AG Internationale Verlag der Wissenschaften, which is not a very French name, being submitted to BiblioShare by their Canadian distributor UTP. That's a lot of different areas that one might consider shelving this book in their store, but if the Thema fits, apply it. And I'm not sure if that's actually best practice, but it sounds good. Code value 94 in Thema is a geographical qualifier, so this is where we can start to uncover more Canadian content. So again, we looked at the top 10 geographical qualifiers populating the main subject. Not likely a good spot for it, but I digress. The top 10 represents 69% of all Thema geotags in the main subject. That basically means not a lot of providers are placing this qualifier in the main subject. Looking at the additional subjects, still a pretty high percentage is represented by these top 10, 53.37%. But look, Canada's in second place. That's like a silver medal in some situations. Another classification system that is still relevant for discovering Canada are the BISAC regional codes. A regional theme is intended to refer to the book's content and should be used to highlight a book for appropriate sales representatives, regional purchase by booksellers and chain buyers, cataloging considerations and regional librarians, regional promotions and media, but you likely already knew that. I hope this data gives you a little bit of an idea about how Canada is represented in BiblioShare. But what if you don't have Onyx data and you want to have it so you can add to Canada? BiblioShare Webform. BiblioShare Webform is for small presses, unconventional publishers, museums, universities, self-published authors, in short, anyone who wants to provide clean, accurate metadata about their books to the supply chain through BiblioShare, but doesn't have the resources to create complex Onyx files from scratch. What the heck? Currently in Webform, we have 50 accounts for a total of 2,767 titles in BiblioShare. So you can see it's really small and self-published authors that might be using Webform. I say in BiblioShare, but the truth is just because you use Webform to create your Onyx doesn't mean you have to load it to BiblioShare. Why you wouldn't, I don't know, but the point is you don't have to. Only if you want your titles added to Catalyst catalogs or picked up by 49th Shelf or discoverable by bloggers, retailers, and more do you need it. But hey, that's up to you. In 2018, we made a few tweaks. Full Thema support. Automatically create your Thema subject from your main BISAC subject, so sort of like a built-in BISAC to Thema converter. Ability to add more than one subject. This was previously limited to one main subject. Added support for country of manufacture. Very important. You can ask Tom Richardson later. In Ingestion, if Ingestion is the heart of BiblioShare, remember that metaphor? Then certainly the mind of BiblioShare is thinking about the possibilities of all that data. That is when we start to look at where all the data is going. We have web services that provide a complete Onyx record, an Onyx Lite record called BiblioSimple, image service, and we also have created a MARC record output that maps an Onyx record to MARC, so libraries can have a stub record to start to build their full MARC record. In 2018, we had over 64 million requests for data in BiblioShare. There were over 7 million BiblioSimple requests and 6.5 million full Onyx requests. Not too shabby. We had users make 3.9 full image requests, 3 million thumbnail requests, and almost 43 million requests, which were just asking about images, like do we have them? When were they updated last? What's their format, perspective, dimensions? All good questions to ask before just taking. And even our beta release calendar has seen a lot of action with close to 70,000 requests coming in. All of that data can help to solve critical conditions for other users as well, and we've discovered over the years not everyone wants the same output. A lot of organizations out there don't want Onyx, but they do want what is in Onyx. This year we created solutions for sales agencies, vendor management companies, non-traditional and traditional retailers, library wholesalers, and publishers. And let's not forget the consumer, the blogger, the reviewers, the media, and more. The world knows nothing of Onyx. And so the brain of BiblioShare is able to provide solutions for all of those, which brings me to one final story that I would like to share. It's all about supporting legacy. It's hard to believe that WordPress is considered old now, but in the ancient digital past, with long gone staff and fresh ambitions, we built a plugin that hooked into BiblioShare. This used our BiblioSimple web service and had some good uptake. After years of just working with minor tweaks here and there, we started to notice things were not just working anymore. Not to mention WordPress announced Gutenberg would be the new default editor for WordPress. We had to shift some time and resources over to looking into WordPress, which is on par to revving up an old engine after it sat for a couple of years. We fixed some PHP errors, but that wasn't enough. The plugin didn't work in the Gutenberg editor. People had to flip to Classic, and that was a hassle. Most modern themes don't use Classic mode. If there's a problem with a plugin and theme developers see a plugin hasn't been worked on for a bit, right away the plugin gets blamed. And that's right, that's a good thing to do, but it's frustrating. We had to make decisions. Do we build support for the block editor or build support for the block editor, or do we just end up cutting out WordPress out of our stable altogether? We decided we would try to look at fixing it. We tried an experiment on Upwork. Our resources were focused more on our core projects, and the potential here was so exciting. We could just post on Upwork and get quotes for the job and done. It was a good experience, but we didn't find the developer we were looking for there. But we did find a WordPress development services house through another channel. Our experience with this company was excellent, and for us, a great example of how the development world has changed lockstep with the shared economy. The final point is that we got what we wanted in lightning speed. Cost was reasonable, and now we can just let the plugin work for another 7 years. So in wrapping up this year in BiblioShare, even though there is so much more to tell, I hope you understand that we wouldn't be anywhere if we didn't have a bunch of people at BookNet and in the industry who are interested in the intricacies of metadata. We are a tribe. I include myself in there because I'm a project manager on the BiblioShare team. I get to dip in and out of metadata and admire its possibilities. I get to see it going through from the beginning to the end, and I get to see the making of the sausage. And of course, along with the tribe interest in metadata, is the tribe's guru, and in our case, that is our bibliographic standards manager, Tom Richardson. Tom, in his natural habitat, is a mild-mannered Onyx expert. This has made Tom, over the years, a much sought-after resource for helping publishers get their act together. And as much as he hates BiblioShare, he also loves BiblioShare. Next, we won't get far without programmers who have earned their stripes in Onyx land by supporting numerous BookNet platforms with Onyx data. This is Tom Gerard, our calm hand on the BiblioShare dev wheel. Our director of product development keeps us honest. She asks questions. She dreams of integrations and making things easier, audible, traceable. Without her, things fall into the crapper. And our Director of Product Development, Jackie Fry, is all that and more. There's also a host of other people at BookNet who have a passion for geeky things like the keywords for Canada, romantic love, or the best way to tell a machine where you're from, about the region you live in, and more. This is the team, the soul of BiblioShare. If you see them here today, give them a thanks for their geekiness. Likely you won't recognize them, though, because they're in their secret identities of book-loving nerds just like you. Thank you.